What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you coming back and watching like always. So today's gonna be my first movie review on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be reviewing Mortal Kombat 2021. Now, a lot of people did have issues with this movie and a lot of people didn't. Me personally, I enjoyed it. It could have been better at some times, but overall, I thought it was a very fun film to watch. There was some things that did not make sense, and there was things that were just overindulged and it didn't have enough life to it. But let's get to that at the end when I give you my score. But let's get into the review right now. The first 7 minutes of this film feels like a completely different film compared to the rest of the film. Let me tell you, there's something about it that's just epic. The vibe, it just feels like this is going to be a really good Mortal Kombat movie. Scorpion and his wife are gardening together. Everything seems legit. He tells her, "I love you with all my heart. I'd be nothing without you. This is going to be such a great life together." So he ends up going to grab some gardening supplies. He hears them scream. He runs back to his home. He sees his wife and his kid frozen to death by Sub-Zero. It's ridiculous. Sub-Zero's whole squad is there ready to kill him, but I don't think they understand how good of a ninja he is. He grabs his weapon and just takes all these guys down. It's ridiculous. He kills them all left to back, right to back, left and right, boom, 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 just death, murder, da, 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 just all these, just graphic as hell. It was awesome. And then he just keeps walking and sees Sub-Zero just chilling like, yep, bring it. They end up fighting. It's such an epic fight. A lot of cut shots, which is, you can see there's a lot of editing in that, but it is what it is. A lot of people don't like that. But epic fight for the beginning of the movie. Sub-Zero ends up killing him, obviously, so he falls to the floor. He hears his baby crying. He's crawling. He's trying to get to his baby in time, and he dies. So he burns on fire because he's a chosen one and goes to hell and becomes one of the chosen ones in hell. That I guess that was his path and whatnot. So Raiden shows up, bam, here's the baby crying, gets the baby out, saves the baby, flies back to the realm, and then boom, Mortal Kombat starts, and you're just like, yes, this is gonna be an epic movie. Yep, well, then we get into some other parts, but let's get to that because it gets good, but it's also So we get introduced to Cole Young, and he's in like an MMA boxing type tournament type fighting thing, and he's fighting for money, $200 and this, that, and that. He gets his ass kicked, he's there, he's getting his ass kicked, and his daughter's like, don't tap out, don't tap out. He taps out, loses the fight. Then Jack shows up and says, "Oh, I noticed you got a tattoo. That's so cool, man. What is it? Can I see it again?" He goes, like you see in the trailer, and it's the Mortal Kombat symbol. He's like, "Where'd you get that? It's awesome." And his daughter's like, "Oh, it's not a tattoo. It's a birthmark." He's like, "Oh, interesting." Then they cut to a random Outworld shot, and it shows Shang Tsung talking to Sub-Zero. And he says, "Beyond, we got to take out the family bloodline, this, that, and that." And he's like, "I am no longer Beyond. I am Sub-Zero." Wasn't that supposed to be in the trailer when he was fighting him at the end? Let's get to that later, but I guess they switched it up. They do that with a lot of movies. They show things in trailers that aren't in the actual movie. It is what it is, so yeah. Then we cut to Cole Young and his family eating ice cream, and him and his wife go inside, and the daughter's outside still eating ice cream, and she looks up, and apparently it's snowing. And him and his wife are inside like, "It's snowing? What's going on? Isn't it like July?" I don't know if they say July or August or whatever. So all of a sudden you just see Sub-Zero start walking up, which I thought this part was epic. He just starts walking up, picking up all the snow and just drops it. And he's walking towards them like he just wants to kill everybody. He's trying to take down the whole city, obviously just to get to Cole. But he's like chasing at them, and then Jax rolls up and he's like, get in, and they all jump in Jax's car, and they recognized him from where he was fighting, obviously. So he's like, "What the hell is going on?" He's like, "Oh, that thing on the birthmark, it's not a birthmark. It means you've been chosen, and Sub-Zero's trying to kill you and whatnot." And then we cut to the next scene. So they roll up to this alleyway, and you just see Sub-Zero chilling there like, what? And Jack says, "Take your family and get out of here. Take my car and just bounce. I'll take care of this." Does he though? I love when Jax and Sub-Zero fight. It's so epic. It's like, you know this was coming because you saw him in the trailer. You see his arms get ripped off in the trailer, so you were just like, I can't wait for this. When he first sees him though, they do this like effect where Sub-Zero just like vanishes inside to the building, which was epic. There's a lot of epic parts in this movie, let me tell you. I love the fact that he just like didn't back down to Sub-Zero. He just kept fighting him and fighting him and fighting him. He was using his powers on him. Jack was like, boom, boom, trying to hit him. Boom, Sub-Zero freezes his arms, grabs him, completely freezes him, and rips his arms off just like we saw in the trailer. And he's just like, boom, knocks him down, falls down like 2 stories, a story or something like that. I don't even know how he survived the fall, but it was crazy. You were just like, what? I was like, this is getting epic. That part was ridiculous. Really good. Then we cut to Outworld again, and it shows Melina walking up to Shang Tsung. She's like walking up all badass like they showed in the trailer. She's talking to Shang Tsung, and he's like, what do you think? We won 9 tournaments by doing it the right way. Let's finish this, that, and that. And it's just like the dialogue in that's just like, didn't really do it for me. I felt like they could have brought more to the table, and they could have made Outworld look a little more creepier. Then it cuts to Cole meeting up with Sonya Blade. He's trying to figure out what's this all about. Sonya does some ninja stuff on him, flips him around, boom, he lands on his back, and he's like, I'm looking for Sonya Blade. And she's like, I'm Sonya. Come inside. They start talking about Mortal Kombat. She shows them the whole wall, special forces of what they've been trying to find out about Mortal Kombat. She's got like everything documented. And he's like looking around. Would you just make this up? A lot of funny parts about this. And then all of a sudden you hear Kano in the background talk a bunch of shit. And she opens it and he's like, oh, I'm Kano. And he's like, did you make that name up or something like that? Let me tell you, Kano is one of the best things about this movie. The actor is just great. I don't know the guy's name. I think he's done a couple other movies, or maybe this is one of his first movies, but the guy is just a great actor. Then Reptile shows up, and I don't like what they did with this. I think they could have done a better job with Reptile, because it's just, he's like literally a real reptile. Like, he has no backstory. I thought it was way better what they did in the original Mortal Kombat with the reptile, and they say reptile. And he gets up and fights Liu Kang. You can't beat that. That was epic. But it is cool when he rips his heart out, does the fatality, he goes, Kano wins, oh yeah, and all that, just like the game. That part was okay, I guess, but I would have done Reptile a little differently, you know? Then we cut and Kano's like, I know how to get to Raiden's temple. Like, how does he know how to get to Raiden's temple, right? There's just some things you shouldn't question about the movie, right? So he's like, I know how to get to Raiden's temple, but I'm not taking you there. Screw you, this, that, and that. And she's like, oh, name your price. I'll pay you whatever you want. She's like, I'll give you $2 million. And he's like, 3 million, make it 3 million and I'll take you there. And he's like, let's go. And he's like, Cole's like, you really got $3 million? And she's like, nope. I live in a trailer park. You think I got $3 million? I'm just bullshitting him. All right, now we're walking through the desert to find Raiden's temple, and they're walking, and Kano's talking a bunch of shit, and then he's like, why don't you just take my Arcana so you could get the powers? And he just keeps like edging her on and on and on. She does some ninja shit, flips him over. She's about to kill him. He's like, do it, like Empire Palpatine, right? He's like, do it, come on, take it. She's like, nah, you're not worth it. And then they look into the sunset, and Liu Kang walks up. Liu Kang's walking up, and you're like, yeah. And he walks up. He's like, at last. He walks up, and the dialogue with Liu Kang is just kind of ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. He's just so overly dramatic. He's like, I am Liu Kang. I'm here to take you. Just battling everything. It's just, I kind of wish they didn't do that with Liu Kang, because, when you watch the original Mortal Kombat, he's just a man. He's good in this one too, I'm not gonna lie, but just his dialogue was just a little off. So he does a fireball shot to Kano, messes him up, and he's like, he's like, how did that happen? You could take this, that, and that. He's like, am I gonna get fireballs too? And he's like, he puts his hand on him. He's like, what the fuck? He said some funny shit to him. He's like, well, I'll take you to temple, let's go. Then they get to the temple and Liu Kang is showing them all like the cool ancient Mortal Kombat things. I think you see Baraka or some random guy on the wall. Then you see Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting. Cole gets a flashback to that, I think because he sees the weapon, the blade of Scorpion, and then he's like getting overly dramatic again. Liu Kang, he's talking about this, that, and that, and then Kano steals something, and he's like walking from one and one, and he goes, and put that back. That part made me laugh, I'm not gonna lie. Then Sonya walks into the other room. She sees Jax laying there with no arm. She's like, oh my God. Liu Kang's like, don't worry about this. We got this. Just give them time. He'll get better. We're going to fix him. Then Liu Kang takes them to see Raiden. This is another overly dramatic dialogue part. He walks in, he goes, Lord Raiden. Raiden is not impressed. He's not impressed. He's just like, you're useless. You don't even have a marking. What am I gonna do with you? Then Kano's like, you didn't say anything about me, and he boom electrocutes him. And he's like, oh, arrogant, you talk too much shit. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you guys, and this, that, and that. And then Cole's like, I'm willing to die for my family. So then Raiden's like, all right, he snaps into it. He's like, let's train you then. Yeah, that just changed everything, right? Then Sub-Zero shows up at the temple and tries to raid it, and then Kung Lao randomly comes out of nowhere, which I think was really cool because that's like the movie does in the game. And then you just see Kung Lao and Liu Kang staying there like the Shaolin Monks video game. I think it was the exact cover of the game, which is really cool. End them all. She's like, kill them, finish this. And Raiden's like, we're not going to do this without the tournament. Boom, puts his force field up, blocks everybody from interfering and messing with people. Then we get to Liu Kang taking them into the training section, trying to train them, and it says, you must test your might, which I really thought was cool, as a pun intended. He's like, you must unlock your arcana by testing your might and learning how to unlock it. So they're fighting and training and this, that, and that, trying to unlock it. They're all getting their asses kicked. Nothing is progressing, and they feel like we're gonna fail because of this. Which I think the Arcana thing is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, very cool. Kung Lao and Cole are fighting, he gets his ass kicked, Cole that is. They keep trying to train him, keep getting his ass kicked, he gets his ass kicked, he just keeps getting his ass kicked. And then they show Liu Kang and Kano training, and this part was really cool because Liu Kang just sweeps him, boom, he's like, oh, that was a cheap move. Then he sweeps him again. He's like, oh, what's going on? And he sweeps him again. And if you're a Mortal Kombat player, you have done that every time you played the game. I don't care what anybody says. You have been cheesy like that before. So I thought it was really cool. Whoever came up with that idea to do that, epic writing and thinking, guys. Then we get to the part where they're all eating dinner together, having a bunch of fun, having a bunch of laughs. And then Kano says something, and then Kung Lao just like pisses him off on spite. Like he says something, you're like a little dog, you need help, you need guidance. And then Liu Kang starts talking shit. They both start just talking shit to him on spite to unlock his arcana and make him go crazy. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm Kano, you can't say this to me, I'm worthless, I'm useless, I'm wanted in this many countries, this, that, and that. And boom, the laser beam comes out of his eye and he unlocked his arcana. He's like, it's better than fireballs, you pussy. I thought that part was so funny. The guy just steals the show every time he's on screen. Then we get back to Outworld, and Shang Tsung is talking to like Cabal and Natara, I think she is, with the wings, and everybody's chilling there. And Cabal is dope in this. He looks just like the game, and he talks so much shit. It's ridiculous. It's just like, he starts smack talking about Kano and saying, I bet you'll switch sides if you just let me go talk to him. Let's go back to the temple and raid it. I'm telling you, I got this. Let's get there. Then Cabal gets up to Kano and he's like, listen, man, you got to switch sides with me. If you switch sides, now you can get anything you want, all the money you want. Trust me, just take my advice. You know me for this long. Just break this force field down. We're going to raid this and we're going to kill everybody. You come join us. And Kano's like, all right. It's just like that. Then it cuts to like Cole's family's house and you just hear Goro inside the shed, which I thought was not a good thing to do, making Goro go up against Cole. They shouldn't have did this to me. They should have saved Goro for somebody more stronger, but it is what it is. Then we cut back to the temple, and it just shows everybody raiding the temple. You see Melina and Sonya start fighting. Kabal and Liu Kang start fighting. Kung Lao is fighting Shang Tsung. He throws the hat at him. He's just like, nope, blocks it. He just like moves his head out of the way. Natara tries to grab him, and Kung Lao does the dopest fatality in the movie. He just cuts her in half. It was the best part of the movie. I was like, yes. I was like, epic. This is what I wanted to see. I love that part. They did such a great job with that part. I loved it. Excellent. He kills her, and then he says, flawless victory. You know, like somebody had to say it, right? And that was epic that he did that because somebody had to say it, right? Then Cole and Goro are fighting, you know. He ends up getting his Arcana. He unlocks it. It's like some metal suit or whatever that is. And he's just blocking everything. I don't know how he's about to take Prince Goro down, but it is what it is. And his daughter's like, give him the uppercut, Dad. Boom. And just knocks him. I guess they had to bring an uppercut into the game. And then he ends up getting these, I don't know, he unlocks some type of weapons too and ends up killing Goro. And Goro goes out like a bitch, and I was just like, oh, why'd they do that? I kind of wasn't feeling that part, but yeah, that happened. So then Sonya is crushed by the rock that Kano put her under, and Jax is like, oh, I need help, I can't lift this, and then he just ends up getting his powers, and his arms all of a sudden grow back. Okay, I guess, and he ends up lifting the rock. Saves Sonya's life. Then we cut to Raiden trying to get them all out of there. And then the only person that couldn't get out of there was Kung Lao, man. Kung Lao was like the coolest character. Why did he have to die? He gets his soul sucked by Shang Tsung. And like Cabal's like, your boy's about to get his soul sucked. I love when they scream like that. This, that. Now Liu Kang can't do anything. Everybody gets warped out of there into this other protective realm. And then boom, Kung Lao dies, and you're just like, no, the coolest dude in the whole movie dies. Why? It is what it is. Somebody had to go, right? Then they're in this other realm. They're like, they don't want to play fair. We don't have to play fair either. So what? All of a sudden, Raiden he's like down to cheat too. Anyway, so Raiden ends up sending each character back to like fight one-on-one with the other, like Melina and that other dude, General, whoever with that big hammer thing, whatever. I've never even seen that dude before. So they all got one-on-one, and they're fighting and fighting and fighting, and Jax does this dope fatality where he just crushes homeboy's head and makes it explode into pieces. He's like, damn, these are badass. I love that part. Then they show Sonya. I mean, this is all happening at one-on-one. You know, it's happened all at once. They're cutting scene. Then they show Sonya Blade fighting Kano in her trailer home. It was like Kill Bill all over again, right? So then they show Sonya Blade. She grabs the gnome, blah, blah, blah. She's fighting him for a minute, and then she's got him in a headlock, grabs the gnome, and she just, boom, kills Kano. So epic. I was like, yeah, that's right. Kill that bitch. Liu Kang and Kabal are fighting, and they're just going back and forth. He puts him in this like sinking sand type thing, and Liu Kang's like, boom, brings the dragon up, which looks like the Mortal Kombat logo, kills Kabal. He does like, was that like an animality or a regular finish fatality? I'm not sure, but it was epic the way he killed that fool too. Really cool. Cole and Melina are still fighting, and he's like getting his ass kicked by Melina, and just Sonya just shows up out of nowhere, does some twirly spin thing. One shot, kills Melina, boom, she's dead. And she's like, oh, a parting gift from Kano. I'm like, really? I was like, I like that she killed Melina, but that quick and that easy, one shot, Then we cut back to Cole's family, the mother and daughter, just chilling. Sub-Zero shows up, takes them hostage, takes them to where Cole used to train, freezes them up against the wall because he wants to lure Cole back into fighting him so he could kill the Hasashi bloodline, and it gets crazy. Cole just starts fighting Sub-Zero. You're like, you know he's not going to win. And you knew Scorpion was going to show up at this point because you saw the trailer, if you did see the trailer. Just hear the music, dun, 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 dun. He says, get over here. And you're like, yeah! The best part of the movie's about to pop off. So Sub-Zero and Scorpion are fighting. This is the best part of the movie. I got so excited. It was like the beginning of the movie, the best part. Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It's uncanny seeing them fight. It was just epic, great cinematography, great fighting moves. They are great. They're really good fighters in real life, so you knew it was gonna pop off. I love this part. You know, he does like this finishing move that gets them both back into the ring, and then they both have to take on Sub-Zero because he's hard. It's kind of like Darth Maul at Star Wars with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. They had to take on Darth Maul together. It was crazy. Then Sub-Zero ends up freezing Scorpion because he knows he can't take on two people. It gets crazy. Scorpion gets out of it somehow. He lights the floor on fire. It releases the mother and daughter. They get freed from the fire because Cole's trying to get them free. He can't do it. And then, you know, Sub-Zero's like, damn, I'm screwed. This is it for me. So Scorpion's telling him, he's like, thanks for taking care of my bloodline. I'll take care of this. Let me finish this off. And he finishes him. Let me tell you, he takes his mask off. Boom, lights him on fire. He does a fatality, burns him to death. And that part is just epic. Burns him to death. You know he's going to probably come back as Noob Sabat. And, you know, he says to him, thanks for taking care of my bloodline. You know, you have freed me. And Raiden shows up with the whole squad. It comes to an end of the movie. And then Shang Tsung just walks up. All like, let me tell you, I like this Shang Tsung, but he's not like the old school Shang Tsung. A lot of people could agree with me on that. So he's talking, he's like, oh, they killed all your men. He's like, no matter how many of my men you put in the ground, it's just going to bring them. I got an afterlife for them. They're going to come back to life. I'll bring it. He's talking a bunch of shit. And then Raiden's just like, boom, shut up, and makes him go back to our world, makes him disappear. He's like, he talks too much. He makes a joke. I kind of like that part. And they're like, what do we do now? And then Raiden's like, you got to hunt down other people. This is not over yet. Shang Tsung's going to come back with more people. It's about to get poppin'. Then we cut to the end, and it shows Cole in his training arena where he fights people, and he tells the guy, I'm not fighting for $200 anymore a day. He's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to Hollywood. And he's like, what's in Hollywood? He's like, not what, but who. And you're like, oh, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you know it's Johnny Cage. It cuts to the Johnny Cage poster, the music play, boom, credits. I like that part. The music came on, the original theme song. Epic, you know. But let's get to the conclusion of the film. So overall, I did like the film. The dialogue did suck at points. The fighting was great. That's what we all came for. You know, like kind of like Godzilla vs. Kong. It did have a way better story, but let's face it, we came for the monster fights, right? So Mortal Kombat 2021, I would give about a 6.5 out of 10. The fighting, the gore, the fatalities, everything about that was really cool. The story could have been a little better. I do wish they brought Johnny Cage into this, but that's what the second movie's about. So only time could tell what they're going to do with the second movie. For a $50 million budget, this movie was very good, let me tell you. For $50 million, it's very hard to do what they did, and they pulled it off. So I give it that 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for coming by. If you want to give me a like and subscribe. Until next time, peace out.